our culture has done a unique job of taking what we feel like are restrictions and turning them into a crazy creativity. We talked about the NBA dress code. I'm speaking about New Balance because there's one person in particular a lot of the world knows, but the NBA fans in the world, that NBA world may not know as much. Y'all welcome Joe Robinson, a.k.a. Joe Freshgoods from Chicago to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, you already know what it is. Point Forward is presented by DraftKings Fantasy Sports. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code Point Forward, because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details. It was a really tough week for the basketball community, and just wanted to show love to, everybody across the basketball globe. Dejan Milojević, we know him as Decky, and he had such a presence, within the Warriors community, within the Warriors family. And then when I went back and I watched some old highlights of him, some film on him, it's always cool to see. Like Kenny Atkinson, we saw him play in college, just a hard-nosed, like Wojciechowski. Yeah, that's how Kenny Atkinson played. But when I saw Decky play, he had a crazy skill set to him. And, we had a tough loss, with his passing over the last week. I go back and give some data on him, give you a background. Born in Belgrade, Serbia, April 15, 1977, which was the old Yugoslavia. He was a 3-time Adriatic Basketball Association MVP, and that was my first 3 years in the league, which was crazy. A 2-time scoring champ for that league, 3-time UBA, which is the top tier men's basketball league in Serbia back in the day. Yeah, he was a league champ there. Yugoslav Cup winner. Also coached in Serbia. Won a Serbian Cup, won a Montenegrin Cup, and won the league as well, 2021. Obviously, he won a title with us, with the Warriors in 2022. He coached over 345 games in 8 seasons for the Serbian team. Mega Vizera, 11 of his players that he coached actually got drafted during that time. So I think it speaks to a lot of what he was as a coach. And I'll get into the players that he got to the league. But he was brought to the Warriors because he was known for working with Joker. Obviously, everyone knows who's a Joker. He's a former MVP. And so when we drafted James Wiseman, he had been there for 2 years. Wise had been there 2 years already, and then he came in maybe a year or two after Wise got in the league to work with Wise. And I just remember him working with Loon, and it was a lot of just under the basket, like 4 feet and in. And he was just working on certain moves, left hand, right hand, positioning, finishing. And I went back and watched some film on him. And as I'm watching film, I had like nightmare flashbacks. E.T., you speak about Donovan Mitchell as somebody just like, listen, man, I can't guard this dude because he keep kicking me with it. He keep kicking me because his feet too big. What'd you say about D. Mitch?
Yeah, it's like, he bow-legged and pigeon-toed, and it fucked me up. Like, you know what I mean? Because every move he step on your toes and shit. So it's like boom, 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 and then he got big ass feet. He got like
Exactly.
a size 16. So you like, bro, what the fuck? And hips be switching. It's mad.
So
crazy.
it brought back nightmares for me. So it was only like a couple guys in the league where I was just like, look, this is my kryptonite. I can't guard this dude. And the person I couldn't guard was Scola. Luis Scola.
Scola?
I will admit, I could not guard this dude.
Hayes.
So I never forget. He was posting me up, and I'm playing behind him in the post, and he just made this like I learned how to use your behind, your ass for leverage, and backing guys down. And for some reason, I couldn't hold my ground. He just kept bagging me down. He took like 2 dribbles, And he just turned around and laid it up. And I could, I know how to strip you on your turn when the guys, face me, or I can block a shot because he don't have really lift off the ground. But he scored the first time, and I'm just like, all right, I got it. Next time it was like a switch. He did it again. I'm like, yo, I don't know what's going on. But like I was in like a blender, like, what the hell? And I never forget Maurice Cheeks being like, young man, you gonna hold your ground or do something? Like, this is way too easy. And I'm thinking to myself, like, we spoke about Carmelo, like, I got pride. Like, I'm a grown man. But I couldn't figure out how to guard Luis Scola. Like, it was just this odd, awkward game. And that's exactly what I saw with Decky, watching him. And so Decky and I start having conversations. He was like, why is this 7'1", however tall he is? And he was teaching him like this turnaround scoop, not a actual hook shot, but like a round scoop shot. And you'll see Joker do it sometimes.
Oh, that's all right.
And I was like, what's with the scoop around as opposed to straight hook? And he was like, listen, Andre, I'm only 6'6", whatever, 6'7". Like, I'm not that tall. So most bigs I'm dealing with are taller than me. I can't get a hook shot off on them. So this hook, they couldn't block it. I just leveraged myself. And then it was an awkward shot they couldn't figure out ever. And so I just rolled with it because I couldn't figure out, like, why are you teaching the 7? And I was like, but why is it 7 feet tall? He can just hook over everybody. He's like, yeah, I'm trying to get him to get both and to help his touch out. And that was the first time I heard someone explain it in that manner. And then I figured out why I couldn't stop Luis Scola. Like, in that moment, I'm like, that's why Buddy was killing me. But from that point on, it only took that one conversation. I'm like, Wise, whatever this man says, like it's gold. Like, this is your currency, his information. And so I want you to spend an hour every day with this dude. Nothing else matters. Like, I know KG's your best player, your favorite player. And I'm telling Wise, yeah, like, go look at that. But for right now, Decky is your Kevin Garnett. Like, you only do what he says. And I could see, Wise is young and he has all this potential and he has a million people trying to tell him different things. So I'm understanding, like, it's tough for him and he's figuring it out. He's doing better in Detroit. He's getting his minutes and he's figuring it out. But with Looney, it was a beautiful post Loon put up on Instagram, and Loon said, the knowledge and wisdom you gave me will be passed on and your legacy will always be remembered. They were speaking to the stats Loon had before Decky and post Decky. Now Loon getting 20 rebounds a game. The way Loon finishing, like Loon up and unders, like every once in a while, a fake handoff, spin off somebody, up and under, pearl, left, right hand. People was like, when Loon always had this because he played like KD in high school, but Loon's got a post package, and I'm watching Loon do it every single day with Decky. It's incredible.
Yeah, and to the point where they're just showing Kevon Looney rebounding highlights, bro. Like, he literally won y'all games, G. Like, besides the fact that Steph was out there by his damn self for the most part.
Yes.
Looney was hooping, and he was playing with illness. I just feel like when it comes down to, like, a lot of your body parts and everything, break it down, all you can do is result with the skill and knowledge you have. And, when you sit there and it's like, Loon wasn't getting 20 rebounds once every blue moon or like a flash in the pan. That's what, like, other coaches had the game plan for him. But like, hey, bro, you about to change the game with 20, 21 rebounds, dog. So, I mean, and you wonder what got into him. Because I'm like, man, this dude, like, shoot, if he don't get a watch, then he should get a watch now. So I guess this is where Decky gets a watch.
No,
Decky
true
is
story.
owed a watch.
True story, because
shout out to
we
Decky.
talk about that run we went and we say we stole that chip. It was a beautiful thing. Steph went on a crazy run, but we always say it. It was Steph. It was Wiggs playing like Wiggs. The number one pick Wiggs, and it was Loon. Like, it was Kevon Looney, and people don't realize Loon had 2 full hip surgeries. Like hip surgeries take you out. Like, you just happy to be walking again. You talk to older guys, like, I'm gonna have to get a hip replacement. But you got to wait till you're 50. And all I hear is guys 50 and over saying, Andre, do it right now. Change my life. Like, I can walk. Loon getting 20 minutes, 20 rebounds in the NBA.
Yeah.
Now, the recovery is crazy quick now. Like, you're walking the same day, then you do your rehab. And my man was like, after a month, he's playing golf. That's why I'm like, cool, I'm trying to get there. But they're getting better and better with time. But if I got it like right now, about to cross that barrier of 40, I would have to get another one at like 75, 80 or whatever, and you don't want to do 2, you just want to do 1 and knock it out. And so I gotta wait like 10 more years.
Speaking of which, man, you're about to become the big 4-0, dog.
Something like that. I don't do birthdays.
Here you don't do birthdays, but you gotta, accent, or applaud being on Earth for 4 decades. How does that feel? To be like, I don't know if you ever
No,
made.
I
Have
don't
you ever
think
made
so.
fours? You made fours 40 under 40, haven't you?
So maybe we can try to get in this week for the weekly edition.
Yeah, it should, man. That's like the All-American thing. Like when you miss it, it's like I dig you, bro, but
You
I'll never
remember
have a
who
chance
made
to
it
be
over
McDonald's
you,
All-American
and then you'll be
again.
like, where they
you
at
know what I
right
mean?
now? All that. I know what you mean. I got a couple names that I can name off for the McDonald's. No, I only got one request on my birthday. Just let me play a stress-free round of golf. Like, just leave me alone. Let me play golf. If I get to play 36 holes, can't have a better birthday. But I mean, with Decky, just speaking to some of the players that he coached back home in Serbia that got to the league. Obviously, Nikola Jokić, the Joker, MVP. NBA Finals MVP, champion, doing his thing right now. And like basketball is like his second favorite thing to horseback riding.
Good job.
Vsilije Micić from OKC. He's doing his thing. Nemanja Dugovic, Timothy Luwawa Cabarro.
I remember him. He
like,
34% from the field. He had tried to develop. It was hit or miss, man. But you know what I mean? Not athletic enough. But he had a little 6 years.
Yeah.
Mine too, Jordan.
Yeah, he was hooping. Jordan. And then one of my favorite players is Ivica Zubac.
That is Jordan.
Hey man, he give us. He used to give the Warriors
he hooped
problems.
how Looney was hooping with an offensive opportunity. That's crazy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Because it's like, bro, why can't we move this dude? Every time he catches in the paint, he make his hook shot. Like it'd be like, dang, he had a very meaningful 16 and 8. Like,
you wanna know
oh my
bro?
God, he kills us.
50 Cent said some shit like, I used to want to be a great man or whatever, and and be called a great man. And he was like, when my granddad died, he was like, I realized like you don't get credit for that until you're gone. He said you have to be good until you see the impact you left. And not just saying like basketball wise, but like all the people he touched is like, bro, Joker just passed MJ for like the greatest PER. And like ever. Like, you know what I mean? Like you talk about like Ivica Zubac, like bro, that like he was literally doing numbers, dog. Like not kind of doing numbers, like going crazy. Yeah. So it's like the people, who he bestowed his wisdom upon clearly, leaps and bounds amongst others. That's crazy.
For sure. I mean, other notable names, Gogo Batiste. I like him too. He's doing his thing in Orlando. Orlando's been playing really well. Start their season. They hitting that rookie sophomore wall, whatever you want to call it, but they off to a hot start. They gonna make the playoffs. They mess around and get back in the playoffs after that quick rebound. So to end it on, my guy Decky. This is what CBS Sports quoted the Warriors saying, yes, Milojević is the person to credit for turning Looney into a rebounding machine. In the first 6 seasons of his NBA career, Looney averaged 4 rebounds, 1.6 offensively and 2.4 defensively in 15 minutes per game. In the 21-22 season, the same year Decky joined the coaching staff, Looney averaged 7.3 rebounds in 82 regular season games and 7.6 boards per game in our run to the 4th championship in 8 seasons. Last season, Looney averaged career highs across the board with 7 points and 63% shooting. 63% shootings, I say that again. 9.3 rebounds and 2.5 assists. While Decky helped Looney's impact on the court, it's clear their bond was even stronger off of it. And for that, Looney and Dub Nation is forever grateful. Shout out to my man Decky. May he rest in peace. The NBA trade deadline has become not only important to NBA teams, but it's also become very cinematic, part of the NBA machine, the yearly annual machine. Both offseason and midseason acquirements have shaken the basketball world and landscape. Some have been more memorable than others, but our good friends at Hoops Hype, hoopshype.com, have ranked some of the best midseason deadline moves in NBA history. ET, let's discuss them. These are ones specific to the midpoint of the season and how they've affected their team. I got one that stands out, and because I remember it vividly. But I go in order. Number one is Carmelo Anthony trade in 2011 when he finally got traded from the Nuggets and he went to the Knicks. That was like a big thing because it was like Melo going to New York, obviously looking for a name and a weight to a name. Like Carmelo's coming to the city of New York, and you know they're always fussing about that even currently. Yeah, shout out to the King of New York and his pops right now. He gave me an earful not too long ago. It's pretty funny. But I still gave him my warm embrace. So in that trade, the Knicks received Chauncey Billups, Anthony Carter, Ronaldo Blockman, Sheldon Williams, the Supers, to his nickname. That was a hell of a nickname at Duke, and Raymond Felton. The Nuggets received Wilson Chandler, Timothy Mozgov, Danilo Gallinari, and a first-round pick and 2 second-round picks. Thoughts on that trade?
I thought it was lit. Like I said, I thought it was great for the league. You know what I mean? Like when you're sitting right there, New York needed like a bona fide star. And I know people forget around that time, Melo was basically, the league was kind of being played with the campaign of getting Melo out of Denver. You know, even at the All-Star game, RIP Kobe, even Kobe was like, he had to interrupt it and be like, yo, stop asking them questions like about being traded. Just let them lock in. Like, it's over. Like, you know what I'm saying? I thought that was cool. I think one that people forget that it did a lot for, you end up getting Chauncey Billups, man. Chauncey Billups is able to, you know what I mean?
I thought it was just past Chauncey's prime, or starting to be the beginning of past his prime. I don't think he was able to really showcase what he could really do. Chauncey's one of my favorite point guards of all time. I'll always speak to who I think he's better than, but I'll leave it alone for now. This one right here is one of my most memorable trades halfway through the year. So the Ray Allen trade was big. 2002, 2003 season. Ray Allen went to the Supersonics for Gary Payton and Desmond Mason. The Sonics also received Ronald Flip Murray from Philadelphia and Kevin Ollie, who was one of my favorite teammates. And then in his time with the Supersonics, Ray Allen was a 4-time All-Star and he had some memorable moments with Seattle and before he went to Boston and they formed up and won a chip there. But Ray Allen was Ray Allen in Milwaukee, but it felt like he turned into a bigger star in Seattle. And it felt like it fit who he was, the city, and it just was a great match. But it was big because Gary Payton, he was Seattle's version of Indiana's Reggie Miller. Like he was a name, like it was synonymous with the city. So that one was memorable because Gary Payton got traded.
Similar to like shit, even Dame Lillard going to Milwaukee, like synonymous with that. And with Ray Allen, even during those times, some of the coldest Jordans it came about as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I like that. One that I love was when they traded the Nets traded Jason Kidd from the Nets to the Dallas Mavericks for who is it? What's my man's name? Devin
Harris.
What's my man's name? He became Devin Harris. So basically, J.K. was able to get traded there. They ended up winning the 2011 finals.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And he was guarding Brown. He was part of the reason why Brown was averaging 8 points. He's averaging a Draymond Green stat line. And then what made it even more lit, because Devin Harris was one of my favorite players growing up in college, watching him. He was a 2-time All-Star, bro. So I love it when it works out best. It's almost like equivalent to what Paul George said the other day about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. It's like, shit, I didn't think we needed to trade all these people, but shit, you traded basically a dude that was playing at MVP level for a future MVP player. And it's like, shit, it worked out for both teams. Like, salute.
There's a bunch of other ones. We'll run through them real quickly. ET, you speak a lot on this one. The Tyrese Halliburton in Sacramento, and then Sabonis going to Sac, Halliburton going to Indiana, and then how that's worked with both teams. Both teams is kind of like went to another level. Obviously with Sac doing what they've been doing, Mike Brown Coach of the Year, and then with Tyrese, they get to the in-season tournament championship game, and he'll probably be a starter in the All-Star game, and then this I guess Indiana's version of what's the quarterback in Mahomes? father, son, that whole dynamic, Tyrese Halliburton. And then Indiana being a crazy basketball state. People don't realize that because we're from the Midwest. And so there's a great appreciation. You always want to see those small market teams, fan base, be able to be turned up and enjoy the game. Tim Hardaway trade was a big trade, too, going from Golden State to Miami Heat. And then what he was able to do, he got his jersey retired there, played on Dream Team 2. Or was he on Dream Team 2 or 3 or both? He was in the 2000 Olympic team, got a couple gold medals. And
either way, he also, too, man, as a short, he's scared. He had the Bulls on the ropes, dog.
Yes, he did. The other big trade, Kobe Bryant was able to flap his wings when Eddie Jones was traded to the Charlotte Hornets for Glenn Rice and B.J. Armstrong. And then Glenn Rice played a pivotal role in the Lakers' three-peat from, 99 to 01. So that was a big thing. Or 98 to 01. Whatever it was, their three-peat. Glenn Rice was doing his thing because he wore his Nauticas. That was one thing I noticed, his Nautica sneakers.
Oh, I do remember that. That's crazy. So then if we go deeper into the trade and you look at trades, obviously, some of these trades matter. Obviously, you see the Pascal Siakam trade. That's an all-star being traded there. That's pretty big deal. But one thing that I think that occurred that the most significant trades are what Bucks did this summer to get Damian Lillard, what the Celtics did this summer to go get Drew Holiday, and also what did they sign Porzingis or trade for Porzingis?
Porzingis came from Dallas. I think they traded for him.
I think they traded for. Yeah, and then now you got James Harden and our buddy PJ Tucker, the Clippers. You know what I mean?
Oh yes, but those were in the summertime though. So are we counting those?
No, definitely count them because I think it was a big time trade, more so at the deadline. Because even then, with the trades all included, I just don't. You know what I mean? I don't see what would really occur to really make a big difference. Do you want to put Pascal Siakam to see how much they moved up into title contenders, or D'Angelo Russell and Rui going to Atlanta? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, well, those would be interesting too, if they go through.
Yeah, but
I don't think any of those change the title odds though. I don't see anyone leveling up to go against what do you call them? Your incumbents, which are your Bostons. Your Philly's doing well right now, Milwaukee, and then you got, out west, you got Phoenix is starting to kind of figure it out, feels like, but it's the two-headed monster out west is Denver and the Clippers.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So even in regards to if you don't even break down the trades, what would the trades, if you think about it, are DraftKings odds? Let's look at the before the trade with Damian Lillard for the Bucks. Before the trade, the DraftKings championship odds. Before the trade, they had with Drew Holiday and the Celtics and James Harden. So let's look at those odds before, after the trade, and today.
Yeah, well, Damian Lillard and the Bucks, before the trade, they were plus 850. After the trade, they were plus 425, which is a huge jump. But today, they're at plus 475. So from going from plus 425 to plus 475, they've slid a little bit. They're not as favored as they were after the trade, but they are heavily more favored since before he was traded there. Drew Holiday and James Harden, they both have similar effects where before the trade, after the trade, and even today, the odds have gotten better. So those trades have worked in favor in terms of the odds. So with Drew Holiday and the Celtics before the trade, they were at plus 450. After the trade, they're at plus 400, and today they're at plus 300. The James Harden, PJ Tucker, Clippers deal, before the trade, they were plus 1,700. After the trade, they were plus 1,200, and as of today, they're plus 900. But I think they'll continue to trend in a similar direction where they're going to be more favored as the months go on.
I like that. I can't wait till springtime till the final four teams are done. That's when basketball is really fun. Hopefully, it's your team in LA. That'll be a fun excuse to get out there and go check it out.
For sure, sure. Hop, skip, and a jump away.
The NBA season is in full swing, and when I can't get enough of the action on the court, I spice things up betting on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official partner of the NBA. Right now, new customers bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app with code POINTFORWARD. New customers can bet just $5 on the NBA and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code POINTFORWARD. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, 21 and older. Age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/basketball for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
All right, y'all, we're back with another segment of Heard Say, our newly added segment. This week, some rumblings come from some of our former peers, actually. There was a couple of things that popped up this past week. Paul Pierce had a very interesting statement he made this past week. I don't know if we want to discuss this because it's like, I think it's just a personal beef. But Paul said that after Udonis Haslem got his jersey retired and everyone was showing respects to it, Paul Pierce said, come on, fam, this a given.
You said what?
Paul Pierce said that to Udonis Haslem, underneath his Instagram post of his jersey being retired, he said, come on, fam, this one, I felt like this one was a given. As if it wasn't earned or it wasn't in the realm of the typical jersey retirement requirements.
That's crazy. You think he was joking or he was for real?
Paul was dead serious.
What do you think about that? Like, because there's certain levels to stuff. Because at the end of the day, Udonis was through the whole build of it, like brick by brick type situation, especially through a bulk of the games, and it's a testament to a lot of bruisers as well.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of, like, look at the Bruce Brown situation. He didn't go nearly as long pause as Udonis, but you know what I mean. He still won multiple.
Bruce Bowen?
Yeah, Bruce Bowen. Or Bruce Brown.
Bruce Bowen.
Bruce Bowen.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, like, when you look at it, he also got his jersey retired. And I don't know, even when you talked about it with Dwayne Wade, and you were saying, like, man, I think there needs to be levels and certain type of levels to what the Hall of Fame is. So, like, for instance, you could be arguing that when it's all said and done, Looney should be getting his jersey retired.
Or like a Ring of Honor type thing. I guess that's a different layer to it. But I'll break it down like this for Udonis. Because, yes, Bruce Bowen has his jersey retired. And I used to always think about, like, what he meant to the team. It's always going to be that guy that sacrificed for his jersey being retired for the better of the team.
Yeah.
And the team will get you have to have someone like that to get over the hump. And for Udonis to be there from the beginning to the end. Udonis was there before LeBron got there.
Yeah.
And he was a part of that championship. Udonis was one of those guys on the court where he had a presence. And we saw what happened to Tyler Hansborough when he thought he could foul Dwayne Wade hard. You know?
Yeah.
And there's been conversations about two of the toughest guys in the NBA going nose to nose. And I heard a lot about that interaction. I'm speaking on David West and Udonis Haslem. I'm also speaking to Boston was up 3-2 on the Heatles before they got their first chip. When they went to that series and they beat OKC 4-1, they were down 3-2 to Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. And it was some grumblings that this might be Spo's last game coaching ever.
I do remember
after we just spoke on him signing his deal last week, and the proceedings that had to be finished before he did that. But Udonis was a part of that. He also speak on, I was in the locker room and I was there throughout for the 92 days we were in the bubble, the presence that Udonis had. And then they just went to the finals again last year. And so Udonis has been to the finals a good, they won 3, they lost 3. No, they lost 4. So he's been to the finals 7 times, and he was the constant in all those. LeBron hadn't been there 7 times with the Heat. D. Wade hadn't been there 7 times with the Heat. Shaq hadn't, and neither had Chris Bosh. So there's something to say about that. And I'll say it like this: when you understand Pat Riley, you understand that he has a loyalty to his guys. If the New York Knicks would have won a championship, Patrick Ewing's jersey wouldn't be the only jersey to get retired. Charles Oakley jersey probably would have got retired, Anthony Mason's jersey probably would have got retired, and John Stark's jersey probably would have got retired.
All right, that's real.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and he was, and also too, Udonis Haslem was also like a bodyguard for Spo and for the culture and for Riley.
Yeah, but Udonis Haslem is a leading all-time franchise leading rebounder.
Oh, I knew that. Yeah. True. I mean, that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah. That's a lot with two chips.
Yeah, we used to get on Bam. We used to be like, Bam, you got to be the one that go get Udonis rebounding. Like, UD would be on Bam, like, Bam, you supposed to come get this record. Like, you got me by 3 or 4 inches, and you got me by 10 inches in verticality.
Yeah.
So
and
go get this.
A man, yeah.
Like, how many players do we know? We speak about this all the time. How many guys do you know that was your teammate and is pulling for you to break their record? You don't see that in sports.
Yeah, that's rare. That's rare now. No, that's rare. It's a culture, though, and that's why, man, that's big time. That's big time.
And so it's and sometimes it's like what's the saying go? This was a saying a couple years ago. What's understood doesn't need to be spoken.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of Heat culture too. Like, you don't understand this, and it ain't for you to understand. But Buddy Jersey going up in the Raptors, as it should be.
That's real. That's right. I mean, and at the same time, I think when it comes down to competitive nature, let's give Paul his credit as well. Everybody talks about how Pat was a competitive son of a bitch and all these people. Like, shit. A lot of people get mad because Paul's amongst one of 25 people on earth that can gatekeep.
Yeah.
So, like, when it comes down to it, people speak on this and the third, and it's like, man, who the hell is Paul Pierce? And it's like, it's Paul Pierce, dog. Like, he just said what the fuck he said. Like, and he'd been saying what he said amongst greats for forever. He was the only one saying Brown wasn't shit.
Yeah, he been saying that for. He told me that in the All-Star game one time. The only All-Star game I made, Paul was just, it was coming out to the end, and it was a close game, and we needed a bucket or something happened, and I think LeBron didn't take the last shot or something, and Paul was next to me. He's like, "See, that's why I keep trying to tell y'all he ain't it." I'm just like, "Yo, this dude crazy," but it's like you're saying. I have to remind people how good Paul Pierce was. Like, listen, it was only a few people I had to circle on my calendar to be like, all right, we going to sleep tonight and we watching some extra film. And Paul might have been top 2 or 3 on my list. It was Melo, Kobe, obviously Bron, but I'm talking about from like strictly scoring, because LeBron can just do so much. Like, you just got to be like, I don't even put him in that category. LeBron's separate, but like Kobe, Melo, and Paul Pierce, I had to be like, listen. This dude is going for 40 tomorrow, and I need to be ready. And they could do it on command. Like, Paul Pierce is one of those dudes like, I'm giving you 40 tonight, and he could do it. It ain't a handful of guys that can actually do that. Yeah. It really ain't.
No, that's real. He's the truth. That's an understatement.
And so this is an interesting conversation. And but I mean, like, I don't think Udonis is expected to go to Hall of Fame, but 100% deservedly should go up in the Raptors, because it's Tim Hardaway and Alonzo Mourning are up there.
Yeah, true.
Chris Bosh is up there. D Wade's up there. LeBron is going to be interesting.
Michael Jordan.
Dan Marino is Michael Jordan. But from the Heat guys, like, Udonis is synonymous with Heat culture, and he accomplished everything that needed to be accomplished in the game of basketball. Like longevity, championships, battle-tested, sacrificing. Because low-key, like, no one talks about this, but LeBron was at the beginning of that, 4-out, 1-in basketball. And, he needed those 3 shooters and then 1 guy low. And I think Udonis had to suffer the brunt of that. And it's the biggest part of it all. Udonis might have sacrificed like 30, 40 million.
Yeah,
Back then, 30, 40 million was a whole lot. Yeah. That's like somebody sacrificing 70, 80 million today.
No, that's real. You're absolutely right, man. He did a lot for the culture and then stick with the bigger picture. So, and when you talk about some of the great players, at the end of the day, if he stamped you, that's all that matters.
Correct. Yeah,
and his teammates did. So,
I got to add this and one. Udonis was like, fuck Bill Russell, because it's like the Heat Celtics thing, and it wasn't meant at Bill Russell. It was more so meant at Paul and KG. So you take that in context. Paul is coming with the similar sentiments. Yeah. Had there been someone else on another team, Paul might not have had similar to say.
those matchups. Those are definitely worth it.
Yeah, Rondo and Paul Pierce trying to break each other's arm.
Game 6 at the Garden, LeBron.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rondo goes and gets 40. They lead the game early. Don't shake hands. Remember the final minute? Brian goes off. Hits 8
in Miami.
Yeah, scores the last minute. He gets the steal and he looks back before he takes off and dunks it, like taunts. Like, I mean, the shit was. I mean, that was a turned up minute too, G.
Yeah.
Like,
It was turned.
Bro, them niggas was turned, dog.
Brown was different.
Bro,
Brown was looking like MJ. I'm coming to get you.
Bro, the whole world was shaking when he had 2 threes and came and got this steal.
Yeah.
Bro, that shit looked dumb, G. That shit looked dumb. Well, shoot.
Brown looked like a god.
He did. That day he did, bro. That was a turn. That was a turn 30 minutes. That was a turn like 1 minute, bro.
You get chills going back and watching it today.
No, that's real, bro. And you want to know what's different? That I think Paul also I comprehend when Paul loses his patience. You know, Paul will talk shit to the coldest and like dance with the devil and like laugh and smile. You understand what I'm saying? So like what he naturally got compared to when they like maybe he tries to say Brian isn't a dog or whatever, it's like, nah, sometimes if you tell me Brian had a lot on his shoulders where he had to like really grow up and overcome in front of people. And like
true story.
Talent don't matter as much as your mind developing and maturing. So sometimes where it seemed like he fell short or like messed up, sometimes I think Paul would challenge that and be like, is he really a dog? And it's like there are certain moments like that really show Brian's maturity. Like to go up against, bro, Paul Pierce is the truth. To take out Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Rondo, like you gotta be like shit. The average motherfucker, you can't take them, bro. Bro, Paul is a crazy motherfucker. Do you remember we were beating their ass and he was still talking shit, bro?
Yeah.
They were down 30. He get fouled. He said, man, I mean, the fuck these weak ass niggas. It's like, bro, you down 30 and we beat y'all 3 times this year, man. Like, we beating the shit out y'all at this point. Like it don't look good. Like, ask Doc. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, Paul is a dog, bro. And when you go back to Boston and shit, like, even shout out to Andy Mannix. When I always ask, like, Larry, this person, that person, he's like, man, Paul Pierce is pretty good. I'm like, over KG, he's like, bro, Paul. I'm like, the greatest South, he's like, bro, Paul. And he don't even hesitate. Andy's an Irish dude from Boston.
Well, it's Larry Bird. It's Larry Bird, but I don't.
This is what I said. I said, bro, over. And Larry said, bro, I'm not gonna lie, I could be bugging, but he's like, Paul was like that, bro. There's nothing like Paul, bro. He's like his fucking superstar. He's like, he never got any credit. And he's the nicest. He's like, as a kid, anybody came in, Paul was giving him 45. He's like, that's just Boston not getting love. He's like, Paul was like that everywhere, bro. Ask all the equipment managers, G. They swear up and down.
I might have to. I ain't mad at that,
bro. JJ, this is the funniest thing. JJ argued one day. He's arguing with dudes. And it's like, Paul's one of the best of the time, this and the third. So dudes from the other teams like, man, Paul wasn't like that. So one day, I was in, it was like 2015, like 2016, around there. So JJ is going back and forth talking about like how good Paul is. So certain dudes are like, I mean, he was cold, but he wasn't like one of the best like guards of the generation, like wings in the generation. And they was like, yes, he was, bro. Anybody that ever came in, he gave him 40. He would go on scoring tears. He's like, he just wasn't athletic and it wasn't as sexy. But he's like, Paul Pierce was the truth. He's like, even when KG got here, Paul was a dog. He was the man. He's like, he could be advertised either other way. It's like Paul was a man. He's like, he never backed down or feared nothing. So we took out the Lakers, everything, man. And Avery Bradley stepped up and said, but not when that boy came in here. So they said, not when that boy came in here. And JJ was like, who? Number 6? He said, no, Paul wasn't scared of shit. He was hurt. He was hurt. But like, I guess like he was talking about when Brian took off and went crazy. Man, but you can't stop a nigga like Brian when he got to look like that.
That leads us to we opening up a whole nother can of worms because the Miami Heat culture, I don't know what that relationship is like with Bron, but LeBron said, I did this, but the Heat culture is like, nah, we had to show you how to do it. Like, we had to show you, because your boy, Isaiah Thomas, what did he say? LeBron James didn't have the tutelage that all the other greats before him had. Like a great college coach, like a main name, or a great coach coming into the league like a Phil Jackson. Isaiah and MJ has their things, but like Isaiah said it himself. He's like, I had Chuck Daly. Like, we've all had these great coaches, these great tutelage to help us grow. Bob Knight, the whole thing. He was like, Bron didn't have that.
Bob Knight, yeah.
But there's always a but. When you go that Heat culture and you got Pat Riley, he show you the way, or he show you something you may never have seen before. It says something, and we saw what happened in LeBron's first final series, and then we seen LeBron go into beast mode that summer and come back fully equipped, and he ain't had no problem since.
Point forward.
Our next guest for this show is one of my favorite clothing designers from back at the crib, back home in Chicago. And then we actually were able to film this at a rooftop overlooking a dope skyline of Chicago. So it made this episode even more special to be able to, have a shy state of mind and be able to, talk fashion with one of the dopest clothing designers who's really setting a tone for the culture. And without further ado, we'd like to introduce Joe Freshgoods.
What's up, y'all? Andre Iguodala back with another episode of Point Forward Podcast. Y'all know me. Y'all know my main man, Evan Turner.
Yo.
We are in Chicago. This is our first episode.
From a penthouse.
Inside, outside.
Yeah,
outside,
basically.
inside.
Yeah, basically.
And we've been into fashion for quite some time. So, if you watch the episodes, you see what Evan has on. Depending on my mood, some days you might see what I have on. But throughout my career, fashion has been a big part of who I am and how I define myself. Evan can speak to that as well. But something that's been interesting the last couple years, I would say around the pandemic, I was wearing New Balance a lot.
96s.
Yes.
You're going 96 crazy.
That's all I was wearing.
Yeah.
Today I didn't, because it just didn't, the silhouette. But you've seen a lot of guys in the league wearing New Balance, and how New Balance has made re-entry into basketball with the likes of Kawhi Leonard. You got Dejounte Murray. We got another Chicago Bull too. Zach LaVine doing this thing, going crazy. We got my kid, and we got another kid too. He got traded from the Clippers. Darius Baisley's been doing it. So all that to say, our culture has done a unique job of taking what we feel like are restrictions and turning them into a crazy creativity. We talked about the NBA dress code. You see how I just saw a commercial with Google the other day, the Pixel phone with the WNBA, and how they coming into the arenas and what you wear in that game. And NBA, all the players are really, really like going into like expressing themselves through fashion. And I'm speaking about New Balance because there's one person in particular, a lot of the world knows, but the NBA fans in the world, that NBA world, may not know as much. Y'all welcome Joe Robinson, a.k.a. Joe Freshgoods from Chicago, to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, Joe, I got thanks for pulling up. I got a question. I once heard you say, I'm an influencer, but I'm not an influencer. So who does Joe Freshgoods identify as when it comes down to it?
It's funny because I don't really like to be identified as like one. I hate entrepreneur, sounds very bland, creative. I think now I'm starting to like really, I'm starting to hit my stride with just like storytelling. I think I was just doing an interview a couple weeks ago, but I consider myself like a poet that just make merch. You know what I'm saying? It's really just like, I'm a writer that people are just buying the stuff that go with the things that I'm writing. You know what I'm saying? So entrepreneur, all that stuff, whatever. But I like to consider myself like a poet nowadays.
Yeah. So take us back to the beginning. I know you're from the Austin area.
Yeah.
You went to Michelle Clark High School, right?
No. I just do the.
Okay, you did the store there.
Went to Lane Tech.
Okay.
Yeah,
Lane Tech.
Lane
Okay,
Tech.
Lane's
I was a little
Lane Tech.
smart. Yeah.
Okay, I ain't mad at that. They can't hoop for shit. But
Hoop for shit.
Right.
Yeah.
So take us back to what it was like growing up on the West Side, and the early days of Joe Freshgood, and what really helped you become who you are today.
Yeah, I mean the West Side is very special. Chicago's very segregated, so I didn't really grow up having a reason to really go to the South Side. It was just downtown was a really big experience, but like West Side, Austin area, it was just like, we called it L-Town, everywhere I was from. But I mean, it's all the things that I do now is inspired by that time in life, you know? I think what really kickstarted for me is being in high school. Cameron started to, pink was a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't really know where to buy the things that I was looking for. It just wasn't available in the marketplace. It was just like Sean John, it was like a little bit, Fat Farm was kind of dying, but it was like those urban brands. Yeah. But I wanted something that was a little bit more like from the neighborhood that I can do. So I couldn't find anything that was like pink. So I started like making like tees on pink t-shirts. I used to go to the beauty supply, press on, iron on t-shirt, and I would go to school and wear it and sell it. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how it started. It was just like I saw something that didn't exist and I wanted to kind of create it.
Yeah. What age did you make your first piece?
14.
14. So you started selling everything at school at 14?
I started wearing it, and then I would say sophomore year of high school, I started like selling out the locker.
So what was the steez besides the pink? What was the style back then, early in the days, that really set the tone? Were you dressing different than you were now, or were you still kind of somewhat in a box? Or you had the jabots?
Yeah, all that shit. All that. It just and then parents couldn't afford everything I wanted, so it's just like I wanted to look fly, but on a budget. So I remember going to the beauty supply, buying like bandanas, getting it like embroidered on, sewn on my jeans, little stuff like that. Yeah. No, it was one of those things where I just I wanted to feel unique, and I started to develop my own personal style, and people, start fucking with it.
So, as an athlete, and this is why I'm kind of making that parallel, because we get a lot of questions, JJ Redick, who I'm a big fan of, I think there is some of that in the game of basketball where guys, they more worried about what they wear into the game than the actual game or the game plan. But it is an expression of who you are, who we are, and where we come from. So when did you first realize, like, this is who I want to be and this is how I'm going to express myself? And did you think the wave was coming from you expressing yourself and other people kind of following that?
You know what? I don't think it was just one moment. I'm very hard on myself as a creative, so every time I get like a little win or something sell out, I'm always on to the next one. It's been happening my whole life. So like, I'm so hard on myself. Like I think when I started working at Leaders. Well, I started working at Fashion Geek.
Fashion Geek.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like I really did I put in my hours.
10,000 hours, yeah.
But I started working at Fashion Geek, and I started working at Leaders, and I just started to like meet new people. Wayne Tech was big, but like I think when I started working at these stores, started working at Nike Town, at the same time I was throwing parties. So I was just like networking and just building a whole network of people and supporters, and just like, had a voice in Chicago. It's just one of those things where I feel like over time, I just started getting comfortable. I remember as Chicago hip hop was taking off, you had Chance, Chief Keef, like Rocky Fred, a lot of my homies. I was just giving everybody clothes. When people came in town, I would give them shit. So every 3 months, when I turned 21, I would say, every 3 months I was putting out something new, and it was like catching fire. Or it was the first time things were going viral on the internet. A lot of stuff that I did, I'm not that proud of now, because it's just streetwear and fashion is such we had a different time. Yeah. I was putting like fuck bitches on t-shirts. Yeah. Stuff like that that's just like, God damn, I hate my old work now as an adult, but that type of stuff was like new in the marketplace back then. Right. I was using things that was like relevant in time and like instantly putting it on a t-shirt.
Yeah. So you go back to that moment, because originally one of your biggest brands, Don't Be Mad, was kind of like a diss to...
Yep. Did your homework.
Yeah.
I didn't know you knew that.
Hey, I know that, man. Don't even trip.
Yeah. That was dope. Yeah,
but we go into that story. Don't Be Mad originally was a diss towards, the Dope
Couture? They don't exist no more, so it's all good. I mean, Joe dealing with legal issues is part of my brand DNA. Yeah. I think, in streetwear, when you get a cease and desist, that's like a badge of honor. That means like this brand is worried about my little Chicago ass. So I think, the cease and desist is ultimately like, stop making it. Yeah. There's different types of cease and desist where they'd be like, we want to check your books, see how much you sold, and really be on that with you. But the name of my brand was called Dope Boy Magic. And I was just on Facebook. I was making Facebook videos, showing people how you can take $200, package the shit up like drugs, and flip it. And it was like it was crazy. I was doing it like that now because I was kind of bringing people into my world.
Yeah.
Drug references aside, it was just like I was just trying to show kids how to Now, as an adult, I was just trying to show people how you can reinvest in yourself and kind of flip that. But the name of the brand was Dope Boy Magic, and it was a brand at the time called Dope Couture that was kind of busting in LA. And he sent me a cease and desist. I thought my career was over because at the same time, I had made a tie-dye hoodie that had Dope Boy Magic box logo. Chan's career was bubbling, so he had his first video. He had it on. Mm-hmm. Everybody in the industry had this fucking tie-dye hoodie.
Yeah.
So that was like my piece that was kind of paying my bills as a 23-year-old.
Right.
And this one person, this brand was like, oh, you can't use that word no more. I was super confused because I was just like, can you own a word?
Right.
But he had money, so he had the lawyers to fight all that stuff. So I couldn't fight it at the time, so I just pivoted and I changed the name of the brand to Don't Be Mad, which is like a slight at him, but it was still the acronym of DBM.
Yeah.
And it caught fire,
You said something earlier when you were talking about, pushing out some of your clothing and, kind of trying to show the youth, now that you're older, trying to articulate, you're showing the youth, like, now everybody's going to be a basketball player, everybody's going to be, a rapper, but you still stay at home and be an entrepreneur. And I think one thing that you said was like, my mission is to show people that I don't have to run in New York or LA to get popping. So talk about some of that journey and that brand and why you're so confident in the city of Chicago, because most of your installments and everything in collections is kind of Chicago based, and it's kind of telling the stories about out west dudes.
Well, I think ultimately, I would like to think that I represent that kid in the room that I didn't really get no major fashion cosigns. And I'm trying to watch my words because I just be dissing people. I'm trying to stop. But for real though, I was looking at this complex list of top designers or some shit like that. And it had me number 16. I was like, damn, I was over lists is facetious and stuff though, but and I really as I get older, I'm really shy and bashful because it's just I'd rather be an underground rapper for the rest of my career. I don't really want to blow up because when you blow up, your shit is in all the stores. So I'm really.
No, that's real. That's real, like Tom Brown type shit. Yeah.
But I think my first time going to Paris, I was in a store called Colette, and they did a Colette Bape collab, and it was all the city tees. It was a Miami Bape Colette T-shirt. It was LA. It was all the brands, but I didn't see Chicago. It was 10 cities around the world, but it wasn't Chicago. And I was like, that little moment right there was just I gotta stay in Chicago. I think, fast forward to now, it's just I still live in Chicago. When I meet with brands, they either come to meet or I go to, it's just that I like I said, I like to think that I'm the guy in the room that got in the room without major cosigns. Still stayed in his hometown, still give back, hiring within the community. You hear about these stories about people getting Hollywood and just changing up, and that's super opposite. I'm very cognizant of making sure that I continue to give back to the city that helped me out.
Now, on the other side of that, do you think it's hindered you in any way? And
sure.
How have you been able to overcome that?
I mean, I'm just really comfortable, which could hinder too. No lie. Because I get a taste of the coastal situations when I do pop-up shops.
Yeah.
You have Chicago, we're not really a celebrity-based city. So I'm really based in the neighborhood and people support, but I do a pop-up in New York, it'd be crazy numbers. That celebrity support is different. LA is the same thing. So I try not to think about what ifs, you know what I'm saying? That's why I travel as much as I can. Mm-hmm. I've afforded the life to be able to travel whenever I want to. But I really just want those kids to see that they can make it here. But again, Chicago don't really have a really big industry for fashion.
Yeah.
So a lot of the jobs, that's a good example. As I'm trying to scale my business, a lot of the jobs that I need for my business that's growing, we don't have that in Chicago. That talent pool don't exist here like that. You know what I'm saying? So it hinders a little bit, but we just try to find ways to, get around.
Yeah, but with your talent pool, you went from leaders and you started Fat Tiger Workshop.
Yep.
And, obviously you got Rello, you got Vic, you have some great creatives. So talk about what that was like and starting, not only staying in Chicago, but putting your first store up in Chicago and literally, you know, in the neighborhood and doing some of the craziest drops. When you go up in, in Fat Tiger Workshop, when you used to go up in there, the things would be so crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it be the beauty supply situation or sometimes you come up in there and be sand up in that motherfucker.
Yeah. Fat Tiger was like college.
Yeah.
I didn't go to school. I didn't finish college, so I knew I wanted to own my own business. I didn't really know how. I didn't really know about business licenses. I just know that I did a pop-up shop at my homie tattoo shop. This is before Fat Tiger. I did like a DBM pop-up shop at my homie tattoo shop. And I remember making like 12 grand in like an hour. And for me, again, this was like 24.
Yeah.
That just like, oh damn, I gotta have brick and mortar. So for me, it was just like, I gotta really shake people's hand, do these pop-up shops. I just didn't know how fast that could be a thing. So that kind of was like, for me, and then all my friends, we all had different things we were doing.
Yeah.
So it was just like, we might as well combine these forces and create Fat Tiger. And Fat Tiger was like, obviously we closed. I think we put in 8 years.
Yeah. How's y'all come up with that name? I always wonder.
You know, that was shout out to Vic Lloyd, my big brother. We
I
wanted
love
a
the DJ.
name that didn't sound like a store.
Yeah.
Sometimes black people be calling this shit like something styles or some
Yeah,
weak
yeah.
ass terrible name shit. So it's just like, we wanted a name that didn't make no sense, but it made sense to us, and it could just like kind of stand the test of time.
Was a conversation ever to put the store on Madison and Pulaski or no? And what is we obviously you come to Chicago, you got Magnificent Mile and all the dope stores, but where us black people we correlate and we're accepted is you
I
grow up
struggle with that, Evan.
Why?
Because I don't want to get in trouble. It's just sometimes, like right now, my store is in West Loop.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that rent crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, I think all
Who's walking
retailers,
around?
it's hard to like put stores in certain areas.
Yeah.
I try to make sure I'm accessible, you know, but it's just, and also too, I want to stunt. Just to be real with you.
Yeah.
To be real with y'all, like for real. Like, I think for me being a black owned business, obviously, and I do a lot of stuff for the community, so I don't want nobody to hold that over me.
Right.
I would love to open up a store where I'm from. It's just for me, I look at myself like a Batman of Chicago. So I have all these, without name dropping, I'm trying to do a better job of that, but you got all these $1 million, $1 billion stores from different cities starting to come to Chicago. They go into these neighborhoods. I'm trying to basically just set up shop around them, kind of show them that somebody that's from Chicago can pay that same rent as y'all.
Yes.
But like, and so it's just a little different. Like, it's just like, in a couple of years, things might change, but also I just got, I just have to pay attention to the climate. What do everybody feel comfortable going towards? But yeah, I wish I could have a store in Madison and Pulaski, but nah, I can't do that. I can't do that.
Yeah. No, I want to, because you talk about keeping black culture, right? And that was like near and dear to me. And so I want to move towards, the wave you created for New Balance. And if you look throughout history and how you say you got to be careful of how you word things and say things.
Yeah.
I was in Chicago in 2004 when I got drafted and I was spending my summers here. So I saw leaders, obviously. And so I know the folks over there. Bobby Simmons opened up a store, success. My brother Kendall Hearns, he was the one that was making the rounds. My homegirl AZ was showing me like, you go here, you do this. Like, 'cause I'm still trying to find my identity at 20 years old. I'm from Springfield, Illinois, and we always look up to Chicago. So I'm trying to fit in without getting hit upside the head, because y'all always cracking jokes on us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm going through my maturation just as the city of Chicago, and so I'm seeing how it's coming up. And so I'm saying all that to say, I know what made Jordan hot again.
Yeah.
Our guys Don C and them, who were easy.
Easy to
someone who was hot. I saw what made Adidas hot. I seen, what made Louis Vuitton hot again, wherever he went. So I can say Virgil's name. But we're bringing back these American staples or these global staples by putting our twist on it. And I think we're getting our just due, but it can be taken away from us sometimes. So I want to move to, what you've been able to create at New Balance and just go back to how it first came about and then how it's, taken off.
Yeah, well,
hopefully I worded that right.
Yeah, no, you did.
Okay.
You did. Well, first off, I want to say that I've been signed to Adidas. I've been signed to Converse. I've been signed to Vans.
The Vans was dope.
Vans is crazy.
The Vans
The
is
story
crazy.
was crazy too.
The Vans
bro.
was crazy.
The story was crazy
Yes.
too.
Vans was
Sometimes
crazy.
when I say I got imposter syndrome, it's just like, how the fuck did I get on the radar? Because again, I'm not like, Kanye didn't put me on. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Just
Right.
all due respect. I'm not
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to set it on some slight shit.
Yeah.
It's really just working hard and just kind of staying rooted. I don't really come from like a family of, besides my friends and what we've been able to do in Chicago, I'm like, damn, how the fuck did they find me? You know, it's been like that all the time. So, again, just trying to do a better job of not dissing other brands on camera. Me being signed, I have experience with contracts. I have experience with what I want and what I don't. But at the end of the day, a nigga getting their own shoe, that's what a lot of us want in my world. So it's for me, it's just like, I remember when I signed with Adidas, I signed in a lobby of a hotel without a lawyer. Because it was like, bro, I don't give a fuck what y'all paying me. I'm finna get my own shoe.
Right.
What I gotta look at the paperwork for, which is like dumb, but it's hard to talk to certain people that haven't, it's just like, so I know that sounds very ignorant, but it's just like,
It's not.
No.
I'm like, give me the papers. Lawyer? Nah, bro. Sounded out of line. I just made sure certain stuff looked good, but it was just like, I get my own shoe. I don't hoop. Clearly, I don't fucking hoop. I'm like not in New York or LA. I'm like, so that boom. And it went terrible. And I learned a lot. I think being with them and seeing a big roster of all the names they had, this was like 2019 or 2018 when I signed with Adidas. Had Pharrell, Beyonce, Yeezy, Pusha T. And it was just like, I just felt like, when y'all gonna drop my album? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I know I got some heat, but, you know, so I felt like I was kind of put to the back burner. And it's like that with a lot of brands. But with New Balance, I didn't know what to expect, which I think for me, that's how I like start approaching collaborations now. I like working with brands that you just, it could be connection, but it's just like, this is my view of this brand that's been around for 100 years.
Yep.
And that's how I check New Balance. I didn't go in there with no high expectations. I didn't even know if I wanted to do it. It was just like, being in Chicago, I kind of was a Jordan and Nike head.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
At the same time, I mean, New Balance's Keep It a Beam was a brand for old white folks with bad feet.
I can't publicly say that, but
Yeah, I said it. So,
Yeah.
but how did you think when it came down to it, you're having conversations and you're like, yo, you understand what I do, who I am, and how I represent myself? Did you ask New Balance, like, are y'all ready for what I'm about to do? Because everything you do is kind of your own style, unique and unconventional. And you go into a brand like New Balance.
Yeah. Well, what I learned now is I feel like you have to do one project that kill, just to kind of, then you can go in a room and talk your shit.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize I was doing that because it's, okay, let's look at the elements. It's All-Star Weekend, Chicago, which is like my backyard.
Yeah.
You have Don C dropping the shoe. That's my big bro. You got Kanye pulling up in tanks down the street.
Yeah.
He's dropping the shoe. You got my best friends dropping with Adidas, so it's tension there.
Yeah.
You had Chicago, all Chicago creatives getting Jordan 1s. So it was just like, and here I am with New Balance on a whole other side of town.
Yep.
So I didn't know it was really cold outside. It was a red, pink, and turquoise, not turquoise, and tan 992.
No, the Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
I didn't know what to expect. Like I said, all the elements was just like, it wasn't really stacked. I didn't think it was going to do good, but I ended up pretty much winning All-Star Weekend for the brand.
Yeah.
You know, built a great relationship with Kawhi. Had Chance wear my shoes while he performed on national TV during the halftime. It was just like all these moments that brands are paid big dollars for. We kind of got, not for the low, but they used this one dude in Chicago. We had a long line. We had a line of like 200 people in like -3 degrees for a New Balance, which at the time I never seen. Just saying, because I'd be saying shit. They'd be like, "What happened? 98." But it was a lot of first. You know what I'm saying? I had people lined up in the cold. Kawhi pulled up. It was on the other side of town. We was, you know. So I think after that happened, and just fast forward, I think that's one of the highest selling New Balances of all time. That shoe's selling for like $3-4 grand now. After that happened, and that was successful, and it was like shoe of the year, New Balance winning all these awards, and it, not because of me. New Balance did a great job of picking the right partners and letting them do what they, so I don't want to
we call bullshit on our podcast.
That's what I'm saying.
What you mean?
Just mean like not because of you. They weren't buying New Balances before that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and that's why I need. So
and
that's
we love. No, I'm telling you, like it's the only sneaker I wear.
Yeah.
I was at Arizona's Red and Blue game, like their March Madness, and one of my good brothers, Channing Fry, was like, "Are you sponsored by New Balance?" No, I'm buying these shoes. Like,
that's crazy.
These ain't for free, but this is where it's coming from.
So funny thing I did, every time somebody tweeted or Instagrammed me that was their first time wearing New Balance, I saved it. I screenshot it. So I screenshot hundreds of people saying that. Because sometimes you just like, I wasn't really crushing hard data.
Yeah.
I was just like, I sold out, the internet is buzzing, but I can't really prove to y'all that we just made a cultural shift.
Yeah.
It's hard to prove.
Right.
Pandemic is coming up. I don't know what's about to happen. And then one thing people don't know, I've seen a lot of my friends or just peers get one shoe and then they just quietly disappear.
Yeah.
Brands, a lot of these bigger brands, we're coming to your town for Art Basel. Let's give him a shoe.
Yeah.
And after that, the brand kind of just dumps you.
Like Hebrew. Yeah.
You
Not my fault. We're gonna take
Yeah.
that off. No, but it is.
No.
Am I lying?
No, you're not
That's
lying.
a beam. My fault, G.
No,
I love Hebrew. I didn't mean to say that.
No, but
That's real though. That's real.
That's why when people tell me like, and again, like you should sign with this brand, it's just like
Humpy
y'all don't
and
know
dumpy.
how
Yeah.
comfortable I am in my situation. So, yeah, it wasn't really a struggle. It's just like I think it was a combination of the pandemic coming and the George Floyd, that happened, and I think a lot of black people in the community was like, "Yo, Joe, what is New Balance doing about any of this?" You know what I'm saying? So it was like, I don't work at New Balance. I'm just a collaborator, but I have to challenge them a little bit, and they do have something called Black Souls, where it's all the black employees. So, I mean, to sum everything up, it's just like I finally found the home.
Yeah.
I finally found a brand. Give me a marketing budget. That's all I need. I want to do a commercial that got flying this and that and little black kids doing this and like playing outside and just like I never had nobody to pay for some shit. That's all. Like some shit that just like marketing wise, just like tough for a brand like me to pay for it. So they named me creative director over Conversations Amongst Us, which I pitched them.
Yeah.
So it's just like that's all. Like I don't think people know how malicious these sneaker brands are.
Yeah.
They don't need us like that. It's like, you know what I'm saying? So I found the home.
And
My fault.
No, I just want to add this. So we've experienced this, and this happening in basketball more than ever. And I have a conversation with football players. Entertainment has kind of taken over the endorsement of shoe brands, where once before it was athletes and basketball players. You would wear basketball shoes off the court.
Yep.
And so now it's going geared more towards athleisure. And I think it's waking us up in terms of how certain brands, not our brands, how certain brands perceive us. And all they're saying is, let's just make sure we get our stuff on certain people and we pimp out, we get the whole culture and wrap it in. And with saying that, how are you able to, stay motivated, not get broken down by how, capitalism in America works, how influence within our community and other folks reaping the benefits of it? Like, how do you think about that when you're coming up with some of your ideas?
Great question, because I struggle with and it's a lot of little fights that happen within just my team, not big fights, but because sometimes I want to push my story, and it's perfect example with Vans. I think because sometimes it's just damn, I don't want to Black History y'all to death because I got to sell product.
Yeah.
I got a big team, a big ass warehouse, an expensive ass store, so it's just what's that fine line of educating the consumer about something in Black culture, but also not scam motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like with Vans, because I love history, so. I fell in love with the whole Green Book story about people traveling to Chicago, just because getting away from the South, and it was just Black people dealing with leisure and the first Black hotels. I was like, oh shit, I got to make this whole collection based off a fictional hotel that was opening to Black people. And that was just, I ain't gonna say it was too deep, because you could be that's a good story, Joe, but the clothes suck. You know what I'm saying? But I think sometimes it's just again, I have no investors, I have no partners, so it's just I have to be careful, but I have a big team now. My team is growing. So I have to be careful that some of these ideas can grow us, but also I can continue to build this legacy. And it's just sometimes it's just you know, my simple little T-shirts might sell. Some shit that I don't really care about that much might be the shit that keep our lights on. You know what I'm saying? So I think as a designer, you got to kind of manage your ego to make sure that every side of your life is happy.
For sure.
You once said that you come up with creativity because you look at things as an inside joke, and that's one way you don't black flag people to death. Because you look at some of the stuff you did on New Balance. Yeah. You look at people on New Balance or some of your, your collections on New Balance. You had outside clothes. Yeah. We can correlate with that, or inside voices. Mm-hmm. That was kind of, to tend towards people or conversations amongst us. Mm-hmm. You said that's kind of, it comes from like your whole little world of like a Marvel area. So discuss what else is going to come next and how you're going to continue to create a story.
It's so funny. I'm about to create another Instagram where I kind of break down some of the stuff that I do that kind of go over people's head. We work really hard in these clothes, and legally, sometimes I'm playing against the fence where it's just like I have a lot of stuff coming out over the next 2 years where it's just like it's inspired by things I just can't say. Even this drop I just did, I'm probably gonna tell y'all to cut some of this stuff, but okay, Jordan wore New Balance for a photo shoot, okay? I'm probably the only partner at New Balance that can tell this story. All right, but I don't want to piss Jordan brand off, okay? But I want to do a billboard photo shoot. So it's like, there's so many things in my head where it's just like, how do I tell the world this story without getting sued? Yeah. I still get cease and desist to this day. Yeah. Adidas just sent me a cease and desist, like, I just don't talk about it no more, but brands still fuck with me heavy on some like, cool out, but.
Get them badges.
Man, for real, right? But as I get bigger and a little bit more bread, it's like, they could be on my ass. They could be like, all right, Joe, now I got to see your books and boom. But it's the next few years is gonna be like I'm really trying to shift how I tell stories. I prove the black shit, and I'm always gonna be rooted in blackness, but I don't want to focus on black trauma. I don't want to sell stuff through our pain and tears and all that shit. Mm-hmm. But I think now it's more so just like things that we all identify with that's not so in your face. Yeah. So that's why I want to create this whole Instagram where it's just like showing people the reason why this tag is, like even that shoe right there, that's a perfect example. Yeah. Holy shit. So this came out when I dropped the outside clothes, right? But I don't think people realize that that was the new shoe in that t-shirt. Like that's the 9060. So before the 9060 came out, I drew it in that t-shirt like a year before it came out. Like the colorway. And it's just like, some shit be like, bro, that's overly deep, but I wish I could tell the story about how I do that. And a lot of my work is like, I tease stuff before it dropped. Y'all might not know. Like I put my son name, Wolf, into a lot of my stuff. So like it's one shirt that's called Wolfie's Hideout. It's like an old juke jam from like, so it's just like, I put birthdays of my grandparents like in dates. So it's just like, some stuff is just like, it's like a hidden thing,
You sound like Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, you just going. So moving on, like forward, we know you do a lot with the fashion and stuff, but what you've been doing pretty dope that New Balance is partnering with for you with this some of your philanthropic works. I know you've been trying to get back into the community. And like you said, you want to be a superhero, in Chicago in that sense, or try to be a superhero. Yeah. So talk about some of the stuff, about giving back and some of the things that you've done, and what's really drawn inspiration towards that.
Yeah. I think during the pandemic, and again, y'all, I'm learning about taxes and a lot of stuff in real time. You know what I'm saying? As much as I can gloat that I don't got no help, I do it by myself, independent. There's a lot of other stuff that come with that. So a lot of things that happen, I'm learning in real time. But during the pandemic, and I think it's been different moments in my life where I peaked that I got such a big influence, and I don't want if I could have 3,000 people lined up outside for a shoe. It's like imagine if half of those people did something positive with me, you know what I mean? So I think I started to get kind of worried that I'm not using my influence and my little power in Chicago to kind of give back. Because again, it is just you buying stuff. And sometimes I get kind of like nervous. I don't want to tell y'all to shop all day. Yeah. I just started getting comfortable with sending email blasts. I just feel like that's corny. Yeah. But it's just like, no, nigga, you got to sell shit to people. Yeah. But during the pandemic, I was just helping out small businesses. I would make a t-shirt and like all proceeds would go to these black businesses and I'll make like a quick 20K and I would just give it to like 5 different businesses. Yeah. You can't do no shit like that, man. That's fucking up my taxes, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's just stuff I didn't know. I didn't know you can't just be on some Robin Hood shit. It's legally, you got to just do that the correct way. Yeah. So we came up with Community Goods, and that's like the nonprofit chapter of the brand. And with the help of New Balance. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't be trying to be on their dick, but like, just like, it's bigger than just, we gonna get this motherfucker one shoe,
Right.
and that's it. We're building businesses together, and they believe in this infrastructure. So that was the thing. Community Goods became a real 501c3 in 2021, and I just been using that platform to build like when it comes to like schools in Chicago. That's what Michelle Clark. We just take old classrooms that's not being used and turn them into like stores, incentive-based stores for kids. But so again, New Balance just wrote a check and helped out with that. That's all. You know what I'm saying? And it don't be on some like
Nike shit.
Joe be on some like you funny as hell. Stop doing that.
But you know exactly what I'm talking
No, we gonna
about.
put that one in there because
Right.
they move funny.
Yeah,
It don't be on some like, yo, Joe, be the black person. It don't. It just like just do your thing. So, you know, we do a lot of stuff by ourselves. So I don't want people to think that New Balance helped me with my nonprofit. They just, whenever we need something, they one of the brands that support us.
All right. Before we dip, I want to ask about something that was dope. You put on for Chicago when Obama left the office in 2016. I think it was one of your biggest collections. But can you tell us about the Obama collection? How that blew up, and I believe you said that really made you, believe you could be an entrepreneur because you're making what, $10K per hour?
You crazy? What did I say this at? Because you're right though, but damn.
I wasn't about to have you come here for no reason, dog. I read it.
I'm
up.
like so nervous, even though I be saying figures, but no, I mean, that was the moment where it was just like, oh, I don't think I need no investor. Oh shit, like, I mean, life could have went totally different. Like now that I understand like IP and just like things we can't do, I made a thank you Obama collection without Obama signing off on it. Like what the fuck was I doing? But it was just, for me, it was just like, oh man, I just felt the need to just like, and again, I think for me, I don't know if the world understood, when Obama won be the president, it was like chaos in Chicago at Grand Park or whatever the park called. And it was just like that moment right there, just like, it was just a big moment for just people. What you think with his term or not, whether you like it, enjoy, whatever, but I just wanted to build like a capsule collection. So, I mean, I did, it was dope. I did a fucking airbrush Michelle and Barack wedding t-shirt. It was that's when I started to get into my storytelling bag because it was like each item was like towards a different family member. That picture of Malia smoking a blunt came out, and she was going to Harvard, so I did a Harvard Malia t-shirt. At the very bottom, it said, "We all smoke, it's okay." It was just a dope collection, and
she even wore the shirt at one point,
I mean,
right?
everything that could happen, it could happen. I dropped the collection, week 1. It did okay. It did okay. It did smooth. My friend Chance, at the time, he was being nominated for a Grammy, his career bubbling, going crazy. He was like, Joe, let's redrop it. Let's redrop it with me as the model and let's put it back out. And I was just like, fuck you think you gonna like, but it made sense because at this time, Chance was huge. So we reshot the lookbook with Chance in it, and that changed my life. I remember being I was having a pop-up in Houston, and we put everything online, and it was just like, I made a lot of money. That overnight, I think overnight it turned into a real business because it was just like, okay, cool. That was the first time I did pre-sale too, pre-order. That pre-order game where it was just like, okay, cool. I just sold 7,000 t-shirts that I don't have. Now I gotta figure out how much it's gonna cost. I made all this money, but now I gotta figure out how much of this money is gonna take to produce this stuff. So it was like, it was perfect because that's like when everything got for real.
Before we leave, man, would you want to give any advice to any creatives? We had Rick Rubin on here before, and he dropped a lot of gems, but
I can't compete with that.
No, you can, bro.
Yeah.
You already done it. You can. Straight up.
What he's saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important to be yourself. I think that's something that I can speak. Being authentic, and ultimately, I think sometimes it's all about being in the right rooms, working hard, learning how to get better at your craft. But honestly, just be a good person. I think for me, it's just like doing pop-ups as a youngin' and doing this. I would go to different cities and just show love to everybody. Just be a good person. So I think for me, it's just like all the other shit cool, work hard, blah, blah. But I would just say, like, whatever you do, just like make sure you're doing it with good intentions. Just be a good person. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Well, Joey Freshgoods, I appreciate you pulling up, man, dropping the knowledge. Nothing but, you know, Godspeed to you and everything that you do, everything that you touch just turns into, you know, magic. And just keep pushing our movement forward. And yeah, we're gonna keep buying it.
Yeah, for sure. You already know. Appreciate you, Joe. Love. That's good. Thank you. So we're going to the second one.